Happy Monday, May 2nd, 2022. First, I just want to say it's amazing to think how much benefit I get from doing this simple podcast. I mean, if you really think about it, it goes with exactly what I'm preaching, but in reverse, meaning I have the benefit of looking through the lens of always looking every week for an anecdote, a person, an event, a family member that inspires me. And when you look at the world through this lens, it keeps you focused on having a positive mindset, of seeing the good in everything. And it's added a ton of value to me, and I hope it's done the same for you. So what inspired me last week was my friend Paul. Paul and I spent some time together in Salt Lake City, and he was telling me a story about how him and his family took a trip around the country and how his favorite part ended up being, unexpectedly to him, the Grand Canyon. And Paul noted that it only took 6 million years for the Colorado River to carve this masterpiece. While that might seem like a long time, 6 million years, in perspective, it's only about 0.4% of the 1.7 billion years it took to build the sediment that would ultimately end up getting eroded away and creating what we now know as the Grand Canyon. So the way Paul sees it, that is only about 0.4%, again, of the total life cycle to carve the Grand Canyon. And that's relevant because our average life expectancy as humans is around 75-ish years. So to put in perspective, that would be the equivalent of 3 months of your total 75 years in existence. So what's the point? Well, I did a recent Monday motivation on procrastination, and Paul's story, I thought, dovetailed into that because it reminded me of this quote from Gandhi, who said, quote, "The future depends on what you do today," end quote. So stop waiting for things to happen and start making them happen. You built your foundation over the years, and now you can change your life in 3 short months. Again, take Paul, for instance. Paul had an awesome career in the gas industry, but wanted to make a change. He had no software or solar experience, but he wanted to get into renewables, and we hired him anyway. Why? Well, we hired for the person, the attitude, the leadership, the intangible things that can't be taught. You see, I have no doubt that Paul will learn the rest. In fact, he's already learned more in a few weeks than people I know have been in the industry for years. Paul used this story to make decisions and, more importantly, act on them to change his reality. Instead of sitting back defeated, not knowing how he's going to get into this new industry, he made it happen. Most people won't do that. Most people won't take the time. They won't put in the work. In fact, when I was leaving Salt Lake last week, Paul asked if we could share a cab to the airport. Now, I thought this was odd because my flight left at 6 a.m. and his didn't leave for a few hours later. But you see, Paul had some reading to do. He's committed, he's disciplined, he's learning. He's changing his life, and it takes just a few short months to change everything. After all, what you do today will define who you are tomorrow. And too often we get in this thought loop of limiting beliefs. Well, I can't do that. I'm not a runner. I can't run a marathon. I don't get up early, so I can't go to the gym. I don't know anything about solar, so I can't be in renewables. When did you decide to make that limitation real? Because it's not. How about instead, I am a runner. I'm going to get up. I'm going to run a marathon. Or I'm going to get into solar. This is something that I believe in and I want to do. And come hell or high water, I'm going to be in the industry. The only hard part is getting started. So what are you waiting for? Someday or day one, it's your decision. So if you got any value out of this, please leave a comment below. If I've inspired you or Paul's story inspired you, just hashtag inspired on LinkedIn would be amazing. If you could leave that in a comment, let us know that you listened. I wanted to point out that I have 10 reviews on Spotify now. So thank you everyone who's taking the time just to click that. If you're listening on Spotify, take not even 2 seconds and please leave me a review. As always, remember, you are limitless.